Hey everybody, lovely to be here. Thanks for coming. My name's Paul Martin. I'm the founder and CEO of TagSpace. TagSpace is the spatial web creation platform that gives users an enhanced view of the real world. And we do this by seamlessly blending digital content with a view of the real world. And we'll show you how that all works.
Changing how we explore the city. Guide to Brisbane's hottest spots in the palm of your hand.
Something that I'd need right now will help me find somewhere to eat for lunch.
Nothing like
Australian
Channel 9
first
News to pitch
augmented
for you.
reality app exclusive to Brisbane and soon to launch in Sydney and Melbourne.
I think it's almost like what Google does with their apps. They can go around and find locations and it'll tell you a bit about it.
Dining options, events details and shopping spots popping up around you in real time.
Everything inside of the app is interactive. You can click on any object in there and things will happen. You can choose which categories are interesting to you, and you'll find all of that information and content will appear around you in the real world.
Previously only available to big business, including Telstra and Splendour in the Grass, the technology will now be in the hands of all Queenslanders. Interactive art and animations bringing a new dimension to a day out.
Particularly if you've got kids or something, it'll be a good way to show them the little bits and bobs around the place.
Another feature of the app, you and your friends can create your own routes, including cafe crawls, bar hops and restaurant runs, selling them on to other users.
Thank you, Jack. So I'm going to show you another short video as well. It's a bit more energetic than this one, just in case those second or third coffees of the day haven't kicked in. Just keep in mind, everything that you see in these videos, all of the content in there has just been screen recorded from within the app. So this just gives you a real example of what the user experience is like, not just for tourism, but for other industries like sports and live events. Cool. Okay, so just to bring it home into the context of the 5 stages of travel, broadly, we try to be that sort of connective fabric that's with travelers and visitors right the way across their whole journey. So right the way from when they're at home before they're visiting a place, we can help bring remote experiences to life in a mobile virtual reality view of things. So imagine you're standing on the spot at a virtual location. You just look through your phone as if you were there and you can enjoy like a little snapshot of your future destination. And then we can cover the user right the way until they're actually in situ at their new tourist destination. And then instead of that virtual view, you're looking through an augmented camera view, and then we create these annotations that point to places of interest, things to see and do in your particular area. So we can be with that user right the way across. And it's really important to give people comfort before they get there, especially when they're visiting cities that they might not have been to before, but also different languages, different cultures. So we can help sort of bring that comfort level while they're at home. And then, excuse me, choking on a piece of fig. And then once they get to the actual location, they see a similar view, but in real life. So it sort of connects the dots for them. How it works is very simple. It's a drag and drop creation platform. You literally just drop pins on the map for each location where you want a place of interest. And that could be, a historic video, heritage video, place of interest, a promotion, a sports scene, an interview with a celebrity. And you literally just drop it on the map, and when people are at that location, they will find that content pinned to that location. We also provide analytics that shows exactly how that content is being engaged with in the real world. So there's a bit of I'll show you a bit more on that in a second. But on the creation tools as well, I know this is a question that popped up, we can even connect to real-time data sources like live queuing information, street maps, and things like tourism and travel timetables. So we can make the pin connection with our database and then visualize that data in real time as well. And then as people are moving around in big open spaces, cities, sports clubs, big events, we can show exactly where that pedestrian footfall is happening and how that in content is being engaged with. All right, super important because we can then close the circles that you can see which content's most popular, but more importantly, which is less popular, and then just tweak it, and then you've got your feedback loop. For the end users, we make it really customizable for them. So if you think about it, family moving around in a new city or an event, kids are going to want to see different content to the parents. So as they move around, the parents can be enjoying more utilitarian content, like where's the closest place to eat and drink, where's the closest bathrooms, where's transit, what's happening right now, give me some heritage information. Whereas the kids are just like, okay, give me some cool 3D content that I want to capture and share with my mates. The creation process is very, very quick. We typically suggest allowing for 2 weeks end-to-end from ideation through to creation. Literally, if you already have the content, you can do this in less than a day. And what I mean by content is if you go to existing travel or tourism websites, it could be suggestions to see or do in your city. So example, videos, text about particular place of interest, and you can literally just drop those into the platform and then boom, you're good to go. We have different customers generally across different sectors, but within this space, anything around travel tourism, obviously, sports and events, and generally what we solve is access to younger audiences, conversion from being at home through to being in situ, finding things to see and do, giving users these experiences much more quickly and easily than part of actual in-person guided tours, because you can do this in your own time anywhere where you are. And I know this isn't a thing in Australia yet, but for example, in Europe, there's maximum of 12 people per tourist group at the moment. So really starting to cap down the impact on cities. So this spreads it out. People do it in their own time whenever they want. And if you get bad weather, you're not committed to a particular time slot. You just wait for the weather to clear up and then boom, you carry on your own personal tour. Quick case study just around content. So in Flinders Council, they approached us a little while ago. Good example for regional travel and tourism, because there's connectivity concerns there as well. They were looking for 2 loops of the city. So one would be more of a sort of sports and fitness. They've got this sort of 5K fitness loop. And then the second one was more around heritage, culture, and informational videos. And so as you can see here, they had 10 of these tags that we call them, those annotations of the real world. They dropped them on this 5-kilometer tourism loop. And then they also have these historic gates around the city where they just drag and drop different historic information, and then boom, you've got a tour of the city quickly and easily. This is how it looks in the creation tools. You can see these pins on the map. There's one of these for each of the gates along that main street there in Brodie Street. And then they just upload the images and the videos. Good to go. So just for a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of how this could play out after an initial activation, what are the ongoing costs? Really the only ongoing cost after an initial activation is going to be somewhere around this $3,000 a month mark. Now in addition to that, for new customers, and what we call a new customer is if it's a new tourism company, a new sports company, then we do charge an onboarding fee to help bring them up to speed. And then that's typically in the $14,000 range, depending on what exactly they want. So if there's like a live data connection, if they've got access to, for example, real-time queuing information or those transit timetables or scheduling timetables, we charge extra to be able to create that pin connection to visualize that data on the platform. Then aside from that, the only additional cost is for 3D content. Most of our customers don't have that, so we take care of that for them. So if you want, a giant possum or a giant koala, which certainly has been done a few times before around here, we can make that happen really easily, and the average cost of those assets is about $350 per. We try to take all the logistics and any of the heavy lifting out of these events. That's why we made this platform. And so in terms of what you do or what we do, you provide any of the planning around organization and education sessions for your teams. We take care of making sure that they've got the information that they need. You provide any of your content. So, obviously we're not going to make tourism content for you. Presumably you have that or your partners have that. And we just make it really easy to shepherd that into the platform. We take care of the 3D content. you provide your branding, and then once you're onboarded onto the platform, we've made it really easy so that you can just make tweaks and updates to that. Some companies want to update daily or weekly, others on a monthly basis just to keep the content fresh. Last bit of information just around scaling up and scaling out. We can go super broad across any geography. You can even create like a sort of template for a particular city or region and then copy and paste that to new locations. All right, now obviously the positions won't work, but you can just reuse that content, tweak it to the new locations, and then you're done. And so am I. So hey, I'll open this up to any questions now. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Over to the judges.
Thank you. What an amazing platform, and I can already see it. I've got young kids, and I can see them just loving that as we go on holiday and really being able to use that so they don't get bored as they go around. So I think it's a really good platform. Well done on the build.
Thank you.
A couple of questions for you. It is for a small, and there's a bit of a theme around SMEs today as well, but this is quite expensive for an SME in terms of the $14,000 startup. So who would your client be to get on board? Is that more the council operators and or councils themselves? Second of all, can you do bookings? And then my third one is, how do you market the platform? Because it's all about getting the people to use the platform. So how do you market the platform itself?
Yeah, good questions. Okay, so in terms of that cost, yeah, that $14,000 is usually more at the enterprise level, not for SMEs. We actually have a pretty flexible pricing model and business model. Even down to right now, we have a brand new model where if you have amazing content and existing audience, for example, if you've got pretty good reach through your socials, we can even do a deal where we don't charge a single penny and we do revenue sharing instead, where we can monetize the end users and their revenue share back to you. So we're actually doing this with some entertainment companies, where they've got like amazing, music videos or whatever else. We say, look, you give us license to the content, we'll visualize it on the platform, charge the end user, it could be $5 to $10 for access to the experience, and then we revenue share back to you. All right, so as long as you have the reach, we don't provide the marketing dollar, but if you have the reach through existing social channels and marketing, then we can do that model for you. And then there's a range, of course, between them, so yeah, we can make it fit. Sorry, the other question that you had was, can you book? Yeah, so we draw the lines. We do a lot of things. We don't do bookings, but we provide that sort of connective fabric for that whole journey. So anything from within the platform is clickable, and we can just pass straight through to an existing paywall or gateway. Right? So if you have an existing booking platform, if you want to click to get a deal on a particular place, whether you're virtually remote or you're there in person, close to the business, click on it, takes you through to the existing website, make the booking, and you're done. So we sort of provide that whole connectivity to get in and out of the experiences.
Thank you. That was, really impressive. I think I love the application of not just tourism and creating those kind of tourist trails, but also the application for major events and sporting as well, because Department of Tourism and Sport, and we also have mega and major events as well. So
that Olympics thing is coming at some point.
Yeah, that little thing. So I guess my question was really around, and it probably leans to sharing a bit more around the live events work that you may have done. How do we get kind of contemporary information quickly onto a platform like this? Tourism operators might have a new product or might have something that they want to kind of capture really quickly, or if they know that an event's coming on board, how do they jump into that as well?
Yeah, and so actually we originally went to market about 5 years ago now, commercially, and our first customers were music festivals. Funnily enough, randomly, even though we're a Brisbane company, we started out in Portugal with our first customers. They're really big on their music festivals there, and we had an opportunity. So, yeah, music festivals, live events, absolutely perfect. Basically, we help the end users find their stuff. Where's my friends? Where's my car? Where's my tent? Even let them set up virtual meeting points. Everybody in my group, meet back here, share it out to your WhatsApp group, and everybody gets their own virtual tag that points to get them back there. All of that stuff just happens in real time, so there's literally no setup there. For bringing the content by the organizers, exactly the same as you just saw in the city. The only difference is for event sites where you can't sort of zoom in on a satellite view of the map, you can upload like a layer that's your event map, and then you drop the pins on that overlay. Okay, and literally, as long as you've got that content, which granted, events companies generally don't have until a few hours before the actual event. But once you have that, literally you just drop them onto the map and then you're good to go. The only other thing that typically needs doing for a big event site, things move, like where the water bubblers are often just move a little bit. So you just tweak it on the map on the day and then it's live instantly.
It looks really, really interesting. 2 questions. One is, how big's your team? And the second is, what's next and what will you do with the $100,000? $100,000.
I was like, oh, I'm out of here. So what's coming up next is the spatial web. So, especially by the time we get to the Olympics, everybody's going to be running around with these lightweight wearables. And so, what we're powering is that future. And right now we're doing it through mobile phones, but in the future, literally by the time we get to 2032, everyone's going to be running around with these lightweight wearables, and our phones, not for the whole time, but for the most part, will become secondary. We get one of our hands back, right? And so, so just to be super clear, these are the experiences that we have to keep in mind by the time we get there. And sorry, I completely lost your first question. Oh, sorry, how big's the team? Core team is 9 people, and our extended team are 24.
Just in regards to capturing that younger market and identifying the risks around that as well, how have you guys addressed the risk around producing content or showing content to a younger viewer?
Yeah, good question. Okay, so in terms of engagement, we see some of the best engagement times out of any interactive media. So just to give some stats around that, we typically see around 6 minutes per session time, and we'll see multiple sessions per day, anywhere up to like 10 sessions a day for younger people. This was designed initially with Generation Z and Generation Alpha in mind, especially for sports and events, because they're constantly watching any of the action through their phones at any given time. Literally, if you go to a sports game or a live festival, 30% are going to be watching that through their phones. So you can either fight it or you can roll with it. And so we provide that enhanced view of the action. So perfect for them. In terms of the content for younger audiences, you get complete control over that. Right? So it's going to be your content that's being brought in there, so it's presumably already curated. So if it's going to exist and make an appearance on your website or in informational spaces, it'll appear in here, and there's really no difference. The only other sort of X factor is because this is playing out in the real world. If there's any sort of kid unsuitable places in the real world that you wouldn't want them to be there, then obviously you keep the content away from there. Besides from that, you have the full control. Think of it as virtual signage, virtual media boards that play out in the real world. Any of the regular rules, when it comes to displaying that to younger people would apply. It's just digital.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Big round of applause.
Thanks, everyone.
Well done.